Hello! This is the last video of the series. If you've come this far, well done. However, there's still lots of stuff to do, so let's get into it. First, we select our ball game object and give it a new tag called ball. Next, go to players and give it the player tag. Finally, select the last two goals and check is trigger. If you were to play the game right now, you realize that the ball actually doesn't bounce back on the edge. This is intended. Now, make a new script and call it goal. In setting the colliders of our goals as triggers, we've essentially made them invisible. This allows the ball to pass through it. However, when the ball passes through it, we get to call on a method called onTrigger2D. Let's go ahead and test this. Type debug.log, anything you want. I'm going to type test. Let's go back to Unity. If we were to give the script right now to our goals, you'll see that when we play test, the ball, as soon as it touches the edge, will spit out the message and it will keep flying. Anyways, we'll figure out what to put in goal later. Let's go ahead and create an empty game object, call it game manager. Now, make a script with the same name and enter into it. In order for our game manager to work, it should be expected to have a reference to most of the game objects in our scene, such as the ball, player 1 and its goal, player 2, and the scoreboard. Add the game manager script to our game manager game object and set its references like so. After that, the game manager also needs to keep track of the score. So let's go ahead and give it two int variables called player1 score and player2 score. Then we need to have two different methods depending on who scored. Player1 scored and player2 scored. Let's increment our two integer variables in both. We also need to update this change on the scoreboard. The way you do this is by using the game object method getComponent. Start by typing player1 text and then the getComponent method. Pass in the type of the component you want, which in this case is called text mesh pro UGUI. Okay, now that we have the component, we can modify its text by setting its text equal to player1 score dot toString. Do the same for player 2. Finally, after a goal is scored, we need to reset the positions of our players and the ball. So make a method called resetPosition. And we don't need to edit anything here right now, but make sure to call it in both scored methods. Here I am right now in the paddle movement script. In order for resetPosition to work, we need to be able to know what the initial position of each game object is. The way we can do this is by making a vector2 variable called startPos. Then all we have to do when the game starts is to set it equal to our location, the transform.position. The transform is the exact same transform component that all game objects have. All that's left then is to make a reset method that will just set our position back to normal. As you can see in my ball movement script, I do the exact same thing, except I also add a launch at the end of my reset method. Since we're now able to individually reset our game objects, let's do it all at once in our resetPosition method. Start with player1 paddle dot get component, and here's where we get our script, and it's called paddle movement. Yep. And then call the reset method. Do the same thing for player2 paddle. And also for the ball. We are now done with our game manager script. However, who will actually be the one to call our scored methods? The answer is the goal. Because as soon as the ball touches our goal's trigger collider, we will call our trigger enter 2D and also call on the game manager to update the score. So in our goal script, we have to do three things. First, to differentiate which goal is which, we need a boolean. Second, as an extra check, we need to make sure the object that's actually colliding with our goal is the ball. We do this by making an if statement such as if call.gameObject.compare tag is equal to the ball tag we set earlier. After figuring out which goal is being scored on, we are now able to call the game manager's score method. We can do this by typing gameObject.find to find the game object, and then also getComponent to get script. And finally, it's player2scored method. You notice that the player2scored method is inaccessible due to its protection level. This is because earlier I did not make these methods public. It's a really simple fix. Go ahead and repeat this for player 2, except make this player 1 scored. Once you're back in Unity, the last thing you ever have to do is to select player 1 goal and check is player 1. Save it, press play, and enjoy the game. And by the way, if you want to ever export this game, you can just click File, Build and Run, and choose some other directory to save your exe file in. Anyways, this is the end of my video series. I hope you enjoyed making Pong and learned something new. Have a great day.